I want you to walk away from this video feeling like I can do this. I can replicate some of the things in this video. I'm gonna show you not only tips, but principles that you can use to help organize your kitchen. The very first one I wanna share with you is having specific areas that you do specific things in. This is going to help your kitchen workflow. So my two areas are cooking and serving, and then baking and prepping. Let's check out the cooking and serving area first. So the first tip I wanna give you is to make sure you have a logical placement of all the things in your kitchen. Let me show you what I mean in this very first cabinet. In here, I have all of our drinking glasses, our travel mugs, travel water bottles, things like that. The reason for that is, check it out. We have our fridge right next to this cabinet, and it makes sense for us to have all of our water glasses, things like that, because this is where we get all of our drinks from. I also want to point out this wonderful little handy basket here that we're using to organize all of the tops of our water bottles, and this has been so helpful for keeping it all together. There is a bin up top. We call it our birthday bin. We have candles in there, things like that. We use it, but we don't use it as often. So another thing to think about is everything you're placing at the bottom of the cabinets are things that you're going to use on a daily basis. On the bottom here in this first drawer, we have all of our spoons that we use to cook with. This drawer is very sparse, and this is going to be a common theme in this video. My kitchen is very minimal. I just use a wooden tray to kind of separate these smaller spatulas and spoons from the larger ones, and I also taped it down so it doesn't really move. I really love this bottom cabinet. This is where we keep all of our Pyrex, all of our food storage, and it has these really handy pull-out wooden drawers, so it makes it really easy for us to organize. Again, I want to draw your attention to the fact that we are next to my stove. Clearly we cook there, and this is where we need to have all of our storage items. Down here is where we have all of our baking sheets, our pans, things like that. And then to the right of the stove, we have this corner cabinet in which we have all of our pots, our pans. I have a little pan rack that we put our pans on, we stack them. Then we have pot holders. Those kinds of separators make sure we can actually grab it very easily. Before we move to the rest of the upper cabinets in this cooking and serving area, I want to draw your attention to my countertops. My kitchen is not Pinterest worthy, okay? But there is some cohesion when it comes to the things that I actually have out. I naturally have a kitchen that's kind of like brownish, grayish, and we have this very distinctive backsplash. So I'm kind of going off of that, and I'm using some pantry items, things like that, that kind of go with that color palette, and I actually readily need to use. I don't want you to strive for a Pinterest-worthy kitchen, because sometimes we get paralyzed by trying to live up to that standard. Rather, think about all of the color schemes that you have and try to kind of put things out on your counter that you need, but also things that you can kind of match up with that color palette. And we're back in the stratosphere, the upper cabinets, and in this first one to the right of the microwave, we have our pastas, our sauces, and canned goods. You will notice that some things are behind others. I don't like that placement necessarily, but here's the thing. Everything in this cabinet are things that we always use. So I know exactly where things are placed. I know what we have. Another tip that I have for you is that in order to kind of keep track of what you have and what you need to get, is to make sure that you have a space to write down all of the things that you're running low on or you ran out of as you were cooking. That's so important. I am so blessed to say that I have a Lazy Susan cabinet. Here I have more serving items. I have a tray here in the corner, it's out of the way. Bowls here on the bottom. And then on the top here, which seems a little out of place, but it's our vitamins and critical medications. Whenever we have specific meals, like for breakfast, my husband will grab vitamins and he'll put vitamins on our plate. So that's part of our serving process. This is kind of another tip that I have for you, is making sure that whatever you're grouping together, it makes sense for the workflow of your daily life. And then we have some items that we need to have quick access to in order to refill them. So those are things like paper towels, napkins. Okay, ready? In this cabinet, clearly we have some plates, some seasonings on the top. I do want to draw your attention to some specific ways that I've chosen to organize some of these items. I have different shapes of plates. So I have circular plates and I have regular square plates. And what I decided to do was separate them by different dividers. So I used this pot rack rack right here to separate all of my smaller circular and square plates. And then I have this shelf rack, which if you saw my pantry video is something that I absolutely love. It helps to maximize the vertical space. This is where I store all of my main spices, and I have a Lazy Susan here. She might be lazy, but I love her. It's so nice to be able to spin the thing and see immediately what you need. And then up above this area, I have some things that I use to serve for large gatherings, and I have some vases up there, which I wish I would use more often. This right here is what I would like to call the transitional area. So we're moving from the cooking, serving to the baking and prepping area. Let me show you really quick what the under the sink looks like. It's not fabulous, y'all, but I have the things that I need in here. I can see everything. Guys, I almost set my kitchen on fire. My husband and my kids were in the living room. My husband jetted over here because I was like, oh my God, fire! He quickly ran in here. We have a fire extinguisher in here, and he was able to just quickly get it and get the process going of helping me. Thank God the fire actually dissipated on its own. This is a great example of how important it is to make sure that you can see and access everything in your kitchen, especially when it comes to your fire extinguisher. The way that I split things up here is that on the left we have all of the cleaning products, so all of the liquid or spraying cleaning products, and then on the right we have all of the things that you use to wipe different dishes and surfaces, things like that. So I have the sponges, I have the microfiber towels, and then on the doors I conveniently put our watering cans. Welcome one and all to the baking and prep area. Our first step is this baking section where I have all of my ingredients on this staircase organizer. This is another type of organizer that kind of helps you to see everything that you have. Then on the top I have wine glasses, I have champagne glasses, I have some dried lavender, which I absolutely love. I keep it in there because it has such a rich and beautiful smell whenever I open the cabinet. And then in here, pretty straightforward, I have my kitchen towels placed right next to the sink. This is where I store all of my kids' plates, cups, and the reason why I have it in here is because I want them to get their own stuff as far as all of their plates, cups, and utensils. This right here is kind of a trick drawer, but it has something very important, and it's the reason why this is the baking and prepping area. So here we go. This is our main cutting board. This was here when we moved in. So this baking and serving area was almost like a predetermined area for us. My encouragement to you is if you have anything built in like this, don't fight it, just work with it. If it really throws you off your workflow in your kitchen, then maybe you wanna move it, but I decided to work with it, and it has worked out for us really, really well. Oh, I gotta get that fixed. We don't need those child locks anymore. In this next drawer, I have things pretty separated, and the reason for that is because all of these things are very small. I have the chip clips here, little bowls that I put condiments in, things like that. All of our measuring spoons, measuring cups. Here is a very big tip, okay? You ready for it? Be creative with everything in your kitchen, with everything that you organize in your home. Just be creative. This right here, this wooden separator thing was from a Melissa and Doug toy that my kids got for Christmas. And thankfully it's made out of wood, so it's good quality and it keeps everything nice and separated. One more thing that I want you to think about is the depth of your drawers. More shallow drawers are maybe places that you want to store those smaller items like measuring cups and things like that. And deeper drawers are places where you can store those food storage items like Pyrex, Rubbermaid. So I completely forgot about our utensil drawer, and it's pretty straightforward. One thing I want to point out is we do have kids utensils, so we're using this first area to organize all that. And then we have our main utensils here, and we have some serving spoons and serving forks that are a little bit fancier that we keep back there. Now you may have heard of this applied to things like counters, places that you can readily see, and that is having negative space. But I don't want you to just think about that as far as like counters, things you can immediately see, but think about it in your drawers. I have this drawer right here, and all I have in it is saran wrap, aluminum foil, and parchment paper. And then I have this apron that my husband will use when he goes outside and barbecues. I don't have a lot of things in here. I don't need a lot of things in here, and that's okay. In this drawer right here, I have some more of our general cooking / baking items. What you'll notice about all of these things is that I don't have anything that I need to use to separate them because I have so few. That's another thing that I want you to think about is you don't have to necessarily go out and buy things or even try to separate things in your drawers or cabinets if you don't have a lot of it. So this is another prep area for us, and that's to get all of our kids' school stuff ready, and also these extra plates and things like that that we'll use when people come over. This drawer is particularly deep, so I was able to use some bigger storing items like these baskets. I had these things in the basement for a little while because I didn't need them, but then I decided, let me try to bring these up and see if I can put this in here to separate some of these items, and it worked perfectly. In this bottom cabinet, I have 2 pull-out drawers. The first one on top was already there, but the one on the bottom I installed because I just really needed an extra pull-out, and I'm so glad that I did that. It's just a wire pull-out. I'll link it below if you're interested. It's the same idea as before when I showed you the food storage. You guys, I forgot to talk about the space above my fridge. I have some extra items like these fun little ice cube trays and storage, like food storage for when we go on trips and things like that. Then I have a basket of little granola bars that are something that I don't particularly want my kids to have access to. And then the cabinet above that, again, is just some overflow items. This next area is our little coffee bar. The first thing I want to point out is that this is clearly distinctively the coffee area, but it does serve another purpose, and that is to be our kids' homework school command center. So that's another tip I have for you, is that if you have an extra area in your kitchen like this, or an area, small wall, is to use it for multiple purposes that are gonna serve your family well. Right underneath this coffee area, I do have 2 little drawers, and I guess those can be considered our junk drawers, but they are pretty organized into 2 categories. So this is where I keep all of my girls' little hair ties, things like that. This is something that's logical for us to have here because it's easy for the kids to access when they're getting ready in the morning. For this drawer on the right, I have all of our school stuff. So I have some of my kids' sight word cards, writing utensils. I don't have a ton in here, but these are all the things that we need, we use regularly. And then the area behind me right now is our pantry. Now, I'm not gonna show you a complete breakdown of this whole area because I do have a video of that, so please be sure to check that out. If you got to this point in the video, please consider subscribing. I have so much more to share with you. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!